Back again with another Bond review, and today we're going to talk about For Your Eyes Only. Now, I'm not going to try and sing, but great theme. But today we're going to talk about For Your Eyes Only, great Bond film, and I would say this is now my favorite Roger Moore Bond film. The Spy Who Loved Me is his best. This is now my favorite. You know, just a lot of things really worked for me with this film, and this is coming off of Moonraker, which was a big film when it came out, big success for the franchise, the biggest hit. So the filmmakers are like, okay, we've taken Bond to space. Where do we go from there? How do we top that? So we have to scale back here, bring Bond back to Earth and, get back to the essence of the character, less gadgets, what have you. But, yeah, this is a great one. Now, before I get to the plot, I have to mention the pre-title scene. You have Bond at a cemetery, and he's visiting the grave of his wife, Teresa, from Her Majesty's Secret Service. So you have a little bit of continuity here, which I liked. And then he takes off in a helicopter, and then as soon as he takes off, the pilot is killed. And long story short, the helicopter is taken over by Blofeld via remote control. So you have Blofeld in the beginning, even though they don't mention his name, but it's him. So he's taking over the helicopter and he's playing with it and taunting Bond. And Bond is trying to get out and take over. And then, Bond takes over the helicopter and he sees Blofeld on top of this rooftop, in a wheelchair. And then suddenly he hooks the wheelchair with the helicopter, and he's taken off, and then he drops Blofeld in the smokestack. He's like, "You want to get off? Okay," and then drops Blofeld's ass in a smokestack. I'm like, okay, this is a great way to kick off your movie. And then you get into the theme of the film, "For Your Eyes Only" by Sheena Easton, which is a really good theme song. But yeah, great way to kick off your movie. Bond finally, disposing of Blofeld here. But, getting to the plot of the film, Bond is sent in to recover a communication device, this device called ATAC, which is a missile command system. And it went down with this, British spy ship. And he must hurry because, the Russians are after this device as well. And you have this family, this couple that were sort of hired to, track the whereabouts of this sunken ship and this technology, this device. And they're killed. And their daughter Melina wants revenge for the people that murdered her family. So Bond's investigation takes him to Cortina, where he encounters a smuggler type of character, Christatos. Again, I'm not great at pronouncing names, but he's pretty much which you find out later, he's our villain here. But again, he's a smuggler type, and you also have this other character, Colombo, who is the enemy of Christatos. And he's played by Topol. And, each of them are accusing each other of having links with the Russians and what have you. And like I said, Bond has to get this device, ATAC. And then like I said, we find out that Christatos is the real villain here. So Bond sides with Colombo to stop our protagonist. And meanwhile, Melina, the girl that you see in the film, she wants revenge because the people that killed her family on this yacht. So with Bond wanting this device and Melina wanting revenge, they sort of team up and, they have to track this ATAC system, retrieve it, and stop our villains here. And that's kind of the plot to the movie. But, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. Now, the cast, which I always talk about the cast, Roger Moore, again, I would say, this is my favorite Roger Moore Bond film. To me, he's the best here. Out of the ones I've seen, Live and Let Die, which is, a really good debut for him. And then The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me. But here, again, this is definitely at his best. And at this time, I want to say Roger Moore was probably 53, 4. But again, like I said in my review of Moonraker, he's having a lot of fun here, and I really enjoy his Bond. And I know some people might say, because I noticed a few people out there that prefer the more serious Bonds because maybe they felt Roger Moore was a bit tongue-in-cheek. And when you look at this era, you have those moments of, Bond dropping one-liners and quips, what have you. But it really worked for me because, again, Roger Moore has his own charm. He has a persona. He has a great presence. And his dialogue and the way he delivers these lines, it rolls off very smoothly. So Roger Moore's great. You have the Bond girl here, Melina, played by Carla Bouquet. And I would say she's one of my favorite Bond girls. I mean, very beautiful, and she has very captivating eyes, but also a deadly demeanor, about her performance. And again, very pretty to look at. I know she's a French actress, and she was dubbed over in this movie. And I believe later on, I don't know where I read it, but apparently she kind of, I think she doesn't look back too fondly on the film because of the age gap between her and Roger Moore, which I'm like, did you not know going in? But yeah, I mean, Carla Bouquet, again, great Bond girl, very beautiful to look at, and she really held her own. And I really liked her subplot, her plot of, wanting revenge and going after the villains here. The people that are tied up with the person that killed her parents. And apparently she auditioned for the role of Holly Goodhead in Moonraker, but they liked her enough to hire her here for this character. So great, she was great here. You have the character of Columbo, played by Topol, from Fiddler on the Roof and some other stuff. And like I said, he's kind of a smuggler type. Like he eats a lot of pistachios and stuff. And the way they kind of set that up where this character, Christado's, Julian Glover's character, he's telling Bond, okay, this is our enemy here. And then later on you find out that Julian Glover's character is the real enemy. He's the real villain. But Topol, I haven't really seen him in a lot of stuff, but, he was great here. He definitely brought a presence and great personality. Which I wonder, because Julian Glover as the villain, he was fine, and apparently he was considered for Bond at one point. I don't know at which point he was considered, but yeah, like I said, he's our villain here. Yeah, it says right here, Glover, the villain for the movie here, has been shortlisted as a possible Bond for Live and Let Die, so yeah, he lost out to Moore. But Julian Glover here, he's okay. You have some other supporting characters in the film. You have this ice skating prodigy, BB, played by Lynn-Holly Johnson, and she was cute to look at. Very kind of bubbly character. I like some of the bits where she's in Bond's hotel room and she's trying to seduce Bond a little bit. Even Bond's like, okay, put your clothes on. What are you doing? You're a little bit too young for me. Let me go give you an ice. Let's go out for ice cream. So, I like that little bit where she's kind of hitting on Bond, but he's like, no, let's not. There's a little bit of an age gap here. Let's go get some ice cream. But yeah, Lynn-Holly Johnson, I've seen her before and stuff. I know she was in that film, The Ice Castles, I believe. But yeah, she has a small part in here. Again, you have the villain, of course. You have, reoccurring characters. You have Q. He's back here. Moneypenny. I think I like the scene here in the movie. I think this is it. There's the scene here later on in the film where Q, where Bond meets Q in a confessional. That was fun stuff. But again, the cast is great. Roger Moore, Carole Bouquet is beautiful. The villain. I wonder if Topol, like, what if he was the villain? I wonder because Julian Glover, he's okay, but I wonder because Topol had such a presence. So I wonder how he would have done as the main villain here. Again, Julian Glover, he's okay, but nothing too memorable. But at least you have again great support from Carole Bouquet, Topol, Lynn-Holly Johnson. The stuff that she has here, the little bit of scenes that she has. Again, she's cute. And box office, this film was another big hit. I mean, if I mention the numbers here, the budget was around 28 million and it made close to 200 million. So again, another big hit, like Moonraker. But a really good cast, and again, the action scenes, the action scenes are really good here. You have the pre-title scene, which I mentioned. You have this one character where Bond is pursuing this guy, this character Gonzalez, that kills Melina's family at this party. And that's where the film really kicks off because it leads to these cool, really fun car chases, like this car chase sequences down this mountain. And, Bond is trying to get away. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was well shot, where Bond is with Melina and Melina's car. And even before that, like, they try to go back to Bond's car and this one villain tries to break in and it explodes. And, great practical explosion. I really enjoyed that. So, they get into Melina's car and then you have some great action there where they're chasing Melina and Bond down the mountain in this car. And there's a lot of curves and, tumbles and, going through the woods and stuff. The countryside, if you will. So again, I thought it was really good, really well shot. Them going down the mountainside. And then a little bit later on, you would have some action on the ski slopes where, Bond is being pursued down the slopes. And you have Bond on skis going down a bobsled run and is being chased on that. A lot of that is well shot. Definitely some of the best ski action sequences on the slopes. Just really fun stuff. You got a couple of decent action bits in town where some people are trying to pick off Melina. You got a scene where Bond is in his hockey rink and a couple of hockey players try to jump Bond and he fights back and he even jumps in the Zamboni and he knocks one guy out with the Zamboni. And then a little bit later on where they raid this warehouse, where Bond is teaming up with Columbo and they raid this warehouse and you have some good gunplay and gunfire. And then you have this one villain, Locke, kind of a silent type, but this one scene where the Locke character, he's on the edge of this cliff and then Bond just gives him the kick. Like he boots the fucking car off the cliff. Great scene. And then a little bit later on where, Bond is trying to retrieve the ATAC in a submersible. And he got some really good submersible action because another submersible is down there trying to, off Bond. And even before that, I mean, where they're inside the sunken ship trying to get this device. And you have another guy in this big suit, trying to fight Bond. It's just a lot of great action here. The action is just, it's plentiful and it's really enjoyable. I mean, you got, again, like I said, great action going down the mountainside, with the car chase scenes, ski slopes, great action on the slopes. And then the third act where, Bond is trying to climb up this rock face, to get to the top where this monastery is on top. to get to our villains here. And he's climbing the mountain, and one villain is trying to pick him off and, knock out the hooks, the carabiners, what have you. And, Bond is trying to climb up, and he drops back down. He's trying to climb back up, he drops back down. And just the way it's shot, it's just it looks very scary. Like you could tell that, of course, it's not Roger Moore 100%. I'm sure you had somebody in there to fill in stunt-wise, but, just the way it was shot, I mean, you can tell it's real, and it's very hairy. I would not want to rock climb, but, yeah, I thought it was well shot. Then you get some fun bits on top of the cliff where, they're trying to get that device, and some good gunplay. So again, a lot of great action here. Again, the action is plentiful, and when it comes up in the film, it's well shot. And, like nowadays, you could just see a lot of green screen here, especially in the case of, some of the ski slope action scenes and, going down the mountain in the car, a lot of car. This is why I really appreciate movies of back then, because, it was all practically done. They put in the hard work and the sweat and the tears, and even though it may not have the spectacle of a Moonraker, they still utilized the budget well. The action was shot well, and they did a great job. They did a great job of, really shooting the action when it does happen. And, but yeah, so great, great job in the action department. And you got some fun stuff, and, the chemistry between Bond and the girl is fine. So, overall, and again, this is kind of, this is about getting back to the essence of the character. This is the one, this movie really set the stage for Bond in the 80s, because after this you would have Octopussy. In fact, in the same year, you had Octopussy and Never Say Never Again. So, which Octopussy, I'll talk about that when I get to that movie. But, at the end of the day, yeah, For Your Eyes Only, it's a great Bond movie. Again, my favorite Roger Moore Bond film, and I can definitely see this being the top 5 or so, because I felt there was a lot of ingredients that really worked well here. From the start of the film all the way to the end. And a great Bond theme by Sheena Easton. And, yeah, it was great to see some of the locations here. Like you see Cortina. I didn't even talk about that. But you see a little bit of Italy here in the movie. And a lot of ice, a lot of snow. You have Bond in that type of environment. Again, where he's going down the ski slopes, and you get some action. And, yeah, and then, the Bond girl, Melina, she held her own in the film. And while, yes, the villains, I wish that maybe Topol was the villain, but Julian Glover wasn't bad. But anyway, yeah, that's my review of For Your Eyes Only. Again, great Bond adventure. Definitely, for me, one of my favorites now. And, yeah, so that's my review For Your Eyes Only. And stay tuned for my review of Octopussy, which is coming up next. So stay tuned for that, and have a good day.